welcome to the Attractions Group podcast. This is episode 70. Alongside Don Helbig, I'm Ryan Sir. On this episode, we're going to talk about your recent visit to Hershey Park for its annual event, Christmas Candy Lane.
Well, before we get into that, Ryan, let's remind our listeners where they can tune in to the Attractions Group podcast. You can catch us on your favorite podcast platforms, and be sure to subscribe, like, and share with your fellow attraction enthusiasts.
Awesome. Yeah, your likes, comments, subscribes have really helped us out. We've been growing exponentially and it's beyond our wildest dreams. So thank you guys so much. So let's dive right into it. So Hershey Park, all right. Let's talk about the atmosphere that they had for Christmas Candy Lane.
It's quite nice. Really captured the spirit of the season everywhere you went into the park. It was, decorated, lights everywhere. Everything was themed to the holiday season well. Just really a fun event. It was very immersive. Just had a really good time. I had never been to Hershey Park for its holiday event. It's in its 40th season, so it's got a nice track record there. It always ranks high among the, when they have those different polls, whether it's, Amusement Today or it's the USA Today polls, it always ranks very high, and it was easy for me to tell why.
Yeah, I've actually never been to Hershey Park at all, and that needs to change. But what were some of the elements that really contributed to like the atmosphere of this particular event?
Well, I mean, you start with the lights. There was over 5 million lights, and no one's going to question whether it was 5 million lights or not. I mean, it was everywhere. You had it on, the grass. You had it going up the trees. You had it on the buildings. You had it around the rides. The wooden roller coasters that weren't operational, where the tracer lights were. Those were, the colored holiday lights. They had the Christmas tree. The front entrance. Everything about it. Kind of stood out. But I think some of the other elements about it was there was so much to see, so much to do there. Uh, all the rides pretty much were open, outside of, like I said, the wooden roller coasters and a couple other things. They had the characters, dressed up. They had all the different holiday, type foods, the treats that you get, the merchandise. Everything was, holiday themed for that with the Hershey characters. So it just was really immersive that way in terms of the elements that stood out. Just no matter where you went, you were immersed into the event. And the other part of it was a full day event. It opened at noon, closed at 9. So the 9 hours gave you a chance to really take it all in. You didn't feel rushed to try anything.
Yeah, it sounds like Hershey's the perfect pairing for a Christmas event because it's candy and it kind of falls in
Oh yeah.
line. But I've always heard about the Noel light show. It's got like 250,000 lights. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, the Noel Light Show, it's got like dancing lights. They're synchronized to the classic Christmas tunes. It's certainly a must see. I almost overlooked it. Um, I saw it from different vantage points, but my favorite vantage point was the Skyview ride, which kind of soared over Noel, and it offered just a breathtaking view of the park's illuminated beauty. And it looks beautiful, when you're up higher, elevate a little bit on that sky ride and just looking out and seeing everything below you all lit up.
So you mentioned in your blog, themeparksbydon.com, not a sponsor, that Rudolph and Friends made a special stop at Santa's reindeer stables. Talk about this unique encounter and how it kind of affected the spirit of the season at Hershey Park.
Well, that seemed, very popular with the guests, especially the families with younger children. It's kind of a rare sight to see reindeer in the Northeast. So to be able to have those close-up encounters, was really something special for the families. And, again, those with the young children. Great photo opportunity at Santa there. Um, you know, every one of the 9 reindeer, were accounted for in this display. Just very well done with the setting. They were in their stables, and that it was certainly a must-see attraction at Hershey Park's holiday event.
So looking at the events list, I saw that they have like Mrs. Claus's dance party, which sounds kind of unique, and they have the upcoming Breakfast with Santa experience. What were some of the highlights for you? Some of the other things that we haven't discussed yet.
Well, I didn't get to do the Breakfast Santa that starts on December 1st, so I didn't get a chance to experience that. But that seems on paper to be a very popular event. You have to make reservations. I heard it sells out quickly. But I think that's really cool. If you've got young children to be able to go to a Christmas event at a theme park and you can have breakfast with Santa. So you just think of the photo opportunities and that would be there with that. It's a fun little activity with the Mrs. Claus dance party. I was an observer and I didn't participate, just more of an observer to see what was going on there with that. But just really, I spent a lot of time just walking around and just taking in the sights and sounds of the event, having never experienced it before.
So the festive feast at Hershey Park seems
Uh,
seems kind of impressive. I read a little bit about that.
yes.
Can you share your thoughts on the creative twists that they had on some of the holiday favorites that are out there?
Yeah, I mean, from the savory notes of the turkey gobbler pizza. Now, this is like mashed potato based,
Mm,
and they had the foot long chili dog, which had they have the chili sauce, and you have like just bits of like cornbread and everything spread on it. That was fantastic. Kind of a traditional, just regular type thing. You don't think of that as a Christmas type thing, but it fit right in with what they were doing. You had other things there that they were doing. They had a foot long hot dog that had like turkey and different kind of things mixed in with it. You had just a lot of different things themed to it. But each bite, that I had, it kind of had that holiday magic to it. It turned a day of rides, lights, and sights into a full sensory celebration. I had the funnel cake. There was this like melted Oreo balls that were really good. Loaded baked potato bar. I thought of you and some of the other regulars that we know from Kings Island that like when the mac and cheese bar and stuff. So think about that with a loaded baked potato bar, cinnamon hot chocolate. I mean, just really everything that they did just kind of was a fit. It tied in with the season.
very cool. Yeah, yeah. You sent me pictures and they look delicious. Probably not the healthiest options. We'll talk about that off
No, it
camera.
wasn't.
but
It wasn't.
but
But you know what? It's all about the
hey, it's
experience, right?
it's it's Christmas, man. Calories don't count during the Christmas holidays, right? Hey,
They don't.
so when we're talking about the park's, overall commitment to holiday magic, how did the Hershey characters dressed in winter costumes and the heated theater experience add to the festive, kind of ambiance of the place?
Well, I mean, they were inside the indoor theater, and they had their winter scarves. And that's we're talking like Reese cups, Hershey bars. Those kind of characters that they have there. So they were all dressed up like you would if you were going out in the winter. With the coats and the scarves and the hats, and that made for some great photo opportunities. I really enjoyed that experience.
Yeah, that's really cool. I always like their characters because I think that they've had 100 years of research and development on what kind of packaging that they need for like Reese's and stuff like that. And you don't have to redesign that after all that much time.
No, and I mean, I they weren't outside, which might have, I was kind of hoping maybe some of them would walk around a little bit outside, but I understand why you keep them in a warm, heated theater. Worked out well for the characters, worked out well for the guests.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as someone who enjoys roller coasters, including the acclaimed Wildcat's Revenge and Candymonium, how did the holiday makeovers of these rides contribute to the joyous escape that Hershey Park offers?
Well, I think they fit right in. I mentioned earlier they had, the coasters that weren't operating did have like the tracer lights and the holiday lights around it. They decorated all the trees and everything around the entrances of these rides. It was like they didn't change anything that you would experience in the summer with the rides because most of them, were open. And I want to make sure I call out the kids' rides. If you got young children, this is the place to take them. During the holiday season, so much for them to do in terms of rides. They had a mini scrambler, a mini carousel, a mini pirate ship. They had what they called the Misfit Bug, which is like a little tumble bug. I mean, these rides were just adorable. Just loved it, and just thought that was awesome. They had a pony parade, which was a little bit like a carousel ride. I think I sent you a picture of that one.
Mhm.
Just thought that was the cutest thing too. Family rides, you had the carousel, which is over 100 years old. First ride I went to when I came into the park, 'cause it's like right there when you come in a little bit off to the left. The Dry Gulch Railroad was fun, very well themed, a lot of lighting and everything around the trees, and some other holiday displays along that course. And then you had the fender bender, which is like a Dodgem car. Ferris wheel looked beautiful at night with all the lights. Frontier Flyers. They had the Hershey Triple Tower, the monorail, and that's a can't miss. It's the monorail. I almost didn't do that, but um, eventually made time for it, and I'm glad I did because I got to see a lot of things that I would have missed taking a look at night with the lights. I had not done that, so I would recommend the monorail for sure. The Skyview, we talked about that. Teacups, just an old school ride, a lot of fun. The Turnpike had two different versions. You could ride like the hot rod kind of car, or the antique cars. They're both right there next to each other. Tilt-A-Whirl, another classic. Love that. And then you had your other roller coasters in addition to Candymonium and Wildcat's Revenge. You had the Laugh Track, Jolly Rancher Remix, the Wild Mouse. Really enjoyed my ride on the Wild Mouse. It was right across from Wildcat's Revenge. So just a lot of rides open that they have at this event, and I think that really added to it. So it wasn't just about going to see a lot of lights, maybe some shows or the character meet and greets and the food. You had pretty much most of the lineup open during this event.
So I mean, I feel like it gets colder in that part of the country than it does in Cincinnati. I know that, Winterfest at Kings Island has very limited rides. And, the line has always been weather related and it's an entertainment event and stuff. Now that you've experienced Hershey Park's, take on this using a bunch of rides, do you feel like more rides would be beneficial to parks doing Christmas events?
Yeah, I really think it would add to the experience. It would spread the guest out a little bit more. When you don't have, like, if your water park's connecting, you don't have that open, and it doesn't take as many people to make it feel like it's really crowded when it's really not. So I think that would be, something to get, guests off the midways to open up more rides, as many as you can. Candemonium B&M coaster, Diamondback B&M coaster, they kind of do a lot of the same things. So I think that would be great if more rides could be open like that at some of the parks that, pretty much close those down at the end of October.
I mean, when another one of the things that I've heard is if you want it open for Winterfest, it may not be ready for the spring. But I don't think that's a problem with Hershey Park, is it?
No, I mean, they have it ready to go when they open for the next season, whether it's late April, early May, they have everything ready to go. Now, we're not talking, 3-train operation on everything. It might be 2 trains. Sometimes it might be 1 train, but they were running. So I think that if you can do that, it certainly would add to the event to have more rides open.
I agree. And I would even go further as saying like opening more rides and making them Christmas themed to make it so there are certain light displays or whatever that you can only see if you ride the ride. Give it a good reason to ride too, not just like I'm
Yeah,
gonna.
yeah, and if you don't have something open, like a wooden roller coaster, you know, put the lights, whether you have the tracer lights at night anyway, just replace those, or just over top of those, put the other kind of lights to make it look holiday themed. And I think that really added a lot at Hershey Park, to see the 2 wood coasters that weren't running, but they were, very well decorated, and they, blended in and fit right into the event rather than just, looking at it and seeing the close sign. You saw it as a display rather than being closed.
That sounds like an excuse you would have come up with when you were the PR guy. It's not closed; it's a display.
But no, it was a lot of fun. I highly recommend the event. I've done a number of Christmas events at the different parks now around the country, and that we're talking Disney, Universal's, Dollywood, uh, some of the Cedar Fair events, and I got to tell you that this one's right up there. It last time I looked, it was running like 4th in the USA Today poll for best holiday theme park event, and you know whether it finishes in that top 3, top 4, I mean, it's right there with it, and it would deserve that recognition if it ranked in one of those spots at the end.
Yeah, it seems like much like the golden tickets, a lot of the parks that do win, it's kinda like, well, the one that got 4th, that's pretty good too, but I suppose to each their
Exactly.
own, you know?
Exactly. But no, I was like I said, I was told before I went there that, I would enjoy it. There was a lot to see and do. Um, Tried not to look at any pictures or videos or anything like that. I wanted to um, just be really seeing things for the first time, and I was super impressed. It's now going to be part of my annual holiday traditions. Is going to be going to Hershey Park every year. Every year we go to Tennessee for Thanksgiving, but I'm also now going to be having, Hershey Park's going to be a Christmas type thing that we do every year. And, my wife, she really enjoyed it too. And uh, just something that, as soon as I left the park, I was already counting down the days to where I can experience this again next year. It was just that good.
Did you ride Wildcats Revenge, and was that your first ride on it?
It was my first rides on it. Yes.
Thoughts?
Av stands out there and everything. And I was always kind of like, okay, okay, okay. Not the biggest RMC fan, in the world, but after riding Wildcats Revenge, different take on it. Every park needs an RMC coaster like Wildcat Revenge. It was fantastic. Just so many things about that coaster that I liked. Rewritable, that was a big part of it. There are some RMC coasters that are a little, maybe too intense for everybody to ride, more than once. Some will ride once or twice, but that's it for the day for them, and others can keep riding it over and over again. But Wildcats Revenge, you get off the ride, you want to get right back in line and ride it again. Just super fun, thrilling, just a fantastic coaster, and it deserved to win the golden ticket for best new ride in 2023.
Yeah, it's funny because with the RMC stuff, if you have the scope that a lot of people probably that live near us have, where it's Steel Vengeance, maybe Lightning Rod, and then Storm Chaser at Kentucky Kingdom. I see. I felt the same way as you kind of mentioned, where it's like they're almost too intense. They're kind of uncomfortable. It's like I enjoy them, but I'm not really mad that my local park doesn't have one. But for me, the thing that kind of turned the corner was Busch Gardens Tampa.
Iron
Iron
Gwazi.
Gwazi, yeah. I was kept on thinking Kumba, but that was already steel. Yeah, Iron Gwazi was comfortable, smooth, and intense, and it was just like they just hit the nail on the head. And I'd always heard people say that it's more intense than Steel Vengeance, and a lot of people preferred it and stuff. And I'm kind of in that camp. Although Steel Vengeance is definitely the more intense ride, in my opinion. The comfort level of Iron Gwazi is just fantastic. So I'm glad you got to experience that. I haven't made it out to Hershey Park, and everyone's telling me that it's like, oh, it's my favorite seasonal park and stuff. So I'm sure that I'll love it too. But let me ask you this: so, when we talk about the event as a whole, how would you sum up the full sensory celebration that you experienced at Hershey Park's Christmas Candyland, and what makes the holiday celebration stand out in a manner where you really shouldn't miss it? You should probably make it before January 1st, 2024, when the event closes.
I'd say the breadth of it, just so much to see and do. It wasn't just about the lights, wasn't just about the food, wasn't just about the rides. I mean, it was, the whole package. So when you're looking at an event, this one checked all the boxes. Just, complete package, had everything that you'd want and more for a holiday event. Just absolutely loved it. And I think, if you're a fan of theme parks, you like the holiday season, make plans to hit Hershey Park's Christmas Candy Lane. You will not be disappointed.
Awesome. Cool. Well, Don, do you have any final thoughts that you want to share about Hershey Park's Christmas Candyland?
When you go there, uh, don't be afraid to try all the food. Like Ryan said, it's a holiday season. You have some excuses and things like that. That was the hardest part. Is just trying to decide, what to get for your lunch and your dinner, and that because there were so many just really great choices that I could have chosen.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know, um, Christmas obviously is continuing, and they're going to have their event through January 1st, 2024. So hopefully, we'll see as many of you there as possible. So stick around because we're also uploading our pick six. Make sure that you follow us on all your favorite podcast apps, Apple, Google, Spotify. If you're watching on YouTube, that's awesome. Smash that like and subscribe button. Leave us a comment. We always really appreciate it. We'll see you next time, everybody.